Alright, YouTube. Going to get into another ramble here this morning. I'm already up and out of bed a little bit, so we'll see how this goes. But, you know, it's crazy that the people keep talking about, oh, this needed to be peaceful and this needed to be peaceful and blah, blah, blah. And it was peaceful, apparently. And this whole thing in Virginia. But, it's cool that there were a bunch of people out there that were standing together that you wouldn't have thought was, stand together at any time. But it happened, and that's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But I think you just let your fire go out. And the reason I think you let your fire go out is because it's 350 million people in this country. 350 million. And not even a third of them showed up for their constitutional rights. Not even a third of them showed up. 20,000 plus, that's a good number of people. Whatever number it was, that's the number I've seen thus far. Okay, I watched a little bit of the live stuff yesterday and everything like that, but not even a third of the United States. So we're supposed to be at this point where it's like almost 50-50 between which side is which side. That means that not even a third, of the third of the Republicans showed up. And I know some Democrats showed up and stuff like that, I'm sure. But not even a third of this population showed up to defend their gun rights. And I wanted to be there, but, we know how life goes with all of that. And to get into that a little bit, people keep telling me, oh, go get a job, quit being a baby, grow up, blah, 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 and y'all keep trying to blame it on me. So I was talking to my neighbor last night, and I was just explaining to him some of the good jobs that I've had and how they've ended wrongly. And, you know what his response to me was? Maybe you're working for the wrong people. Okay? Working for the wrong people. Now let's think about that a little bit here. Wrong people, okay? I was born into a blue-collar family. My dad, he's a scientist, but he ain't no politician or anything like that, and all he's ever done is try and help the world, the environment, by trying to explain to you the importance of trees and certain animals that are going extinct and stuff like that. Hell, my grandfather built skyscrapers in the South long before they had any OSHA requirements and all that bullshit. My grandfather built skyscrapers in this country. That's about as blue collar gets. I got an uncle that's an electrician. I got an uncle that's a plumber. I got two aunts that are nurses. Alright? How is it that I was born into a blue-collar world, but apparently I work for the wrong people? Okay, let's think about that for a minute. Alright? Now, I've had nothing but blue-collar jobs my whole life, except for one. And it was still blue-collar. Alright? Still blue-collar because I actually took the time and learned how to make the product with my bare hands. Isn't that what makes blue collar? Is you make stuff with your bare hands? Bare hands. So how is it that I'm working for the wrong people? Because I'm not that smart. And if you watch some of my other videos, I only have a GED. Yeah, I made AB honor roll until about 5th or 6th grade, something like that. And then I was a C and D average student. If I made an A or a B, it was like once, a year on a certain subject here and there. But I was like an average C student from about 7th grade till I dropped out of my senior year because, check this out, okay? My grandmother died. I was 18. My school refused to let me leave, but I was a grown-ass adult in this country. And when I got back, they suspended me for so long because I went to a funeral for my grandmother, which was another nurse. Alright? The only white collar person in my family was my mother's mother. And she was a county clerk for the city that she lived in. Which in my opinion is still blue collar because she ain't no politician. She just processed the paperwork and did all of that. She wasn't no business person. She was just an assistant pretty much. And that's still a blue collar field in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, how is it? Really? If you think about it, by telling me that I'm working for the wrong people, and in my opinion, and I won't go into the dream in detail, but the dream that I had last night pretty much nullified what he was saying. People do not know who they are. Do not know who they are in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Because if I was born into a blue-collar world and have lived in a blue-collar world my whole life, tried to branch out into a white-collar kind of field that dealt with blue-collar, and that failed, and the blue-collar keeps failing, then how is it I'm working for the wrong people? It's not that I am the one with the problem. It's that the people that are in this world don't know who they are. I know myself better than y'all do, is what that makes me seem. That's what that sounds like. I mean, it really does. And this guy, I'm not going to say his name, he's a nice guy. And I don't talk to him every day or nothing like that, but he's my neighbor. And he's working on his house. He don't even want to let me help. I mean, not even pay me. He almost dropped something. And I went to go help him grab it, and it was like, don't do that. I offered to hold the level for him a little bit. No, can't do that. So I'm working for the wrong people. Is it really me or is it the people? That's the question that you need to ask yourself with all of this. Get a job. You need to read more books. You need to do this. You need to do that. Blah, 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 blah. You know, when you have one man willing to stand individual against an united force, a force of the American people that believe that they are united, but really aren't, because they're still divided, and they're even divided in their own ways, and amongst their own groups and their own parties and shit like that. That's why it was all getting all worked up about people getting pissed off at each other about the rally and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, to try and prove me wrong, gaslight me. Y'all stood there and acted like y'all were just part of the big old same family. When you all know it's going to boil back down, everybody's going to stop thinking about this, and they're going to fall back into their same bullshit patterns like they always do. You know it for a fact. It always happens. Always. So I ask you again, how is it I am working for the wrong people when I was born into a blue-collar family, not a white-collar family? And that's how this world works. It's sad, but blue-collar people go into blue-collar trades. Alright? And white collar people go into white collar fields. It's just that fucking simple. You know, I talk about how I hate working on cars now and stuff like that. But you don't understand that I was also, when I was in high school, I was a welder. And I was I was one of 3 out of about 28 or 30 students that actually made it into TIG welding. And I mean aluminum and stainless steel TIG welding. Could pass my x-rays, could pass my bend tests. All of that shit. My senior year, they wanted me to repeat my senior year because I left for like a few days to go to a funeral. That was one of the only times I've had the flu ever in my life. So I missed about a week of school on top of the funeral. So less than 2 weeks. And they wanted me to repeat my whole year. But halfway through my senior year, before that even happened, they shut the entire welding program down. Which means that the 4 years I spent learning how to weld, stick weld, TIG weld, MIG weld, butt joints, overhead, badass overhead pipe welder right here, sirs. Badass, plasma cutting. Could use all the equipment. All that shit. Canceled my program. Forced me into automotive. Because I wanted to be a welder. But I liked working on cars. And eventually down the road, I wanted to be able to use, my welding skills to make custom shit. But fuck it, I don't care anymore. See what I'm saying? How far back down this fucking rabbit hole do you want me to take this shit? And y'all still sit here and act like it's me. Alright? I'll go back to 2nd and 3rd grade. Alright? Where I could go into class and I would learn something from my father. Very smart man, biologist. Alright? Marine biologist. He'll fucking tell you almost anything about science. Alright, well maybe not anymore because he's getting older and stuff. But still, go in there in 2nd and 3rd grade and be able to talk to them with a college level kind of mind. And in 2nd and 3rd grade, people hated me so much for that I didn't really even have friends at that time. I might run around still outside and play with each other from time to time, but it wasn't like people were wanting to come over and hang out with me or anything like that. That I didn't. The one time I can remember actually wanting to have a birthday party, I think I was in the 5th grade. An actual birthday party and it was summertime, so I made sure, my birthday's during the summer, so it makes it a little hard. But I passed out invitations to everybody that I knew in the neighborhood. Everything. Everything. Do you know that I think I was turning 12 or 13. Or not even 12 or 13. I was 5th or 6th grade. So maybe. I don't even remember. Alright? Not a single person showed up to my birthday party. Not one. So let me ask you again. Sounds like I'm working for the wrong people. Does it? Does it not? See, y'all sit here and judge people, but you know nothing of their past, especially if they don't come from your city or your town and haven't been the same person in the same town their entire life. But none of y'all, even in the town that I live in right now, have even stopped to consider or ask about my past, where I come from. They're asking me, where are you born? Where are you born? Where are you born? Where you come from? And when I actually tell them, well, maybe you should go back there. You don't understand. Back there, it's the same as here. It's the same shit. The same people. It's all the same. When are y'all gonna stop being so conceited? When are you gonna stop treating people like they're different? Well, yeah, they're different, but you don't have to treat them like shit because they're different or they come from some other place or you can't understand who they are because it's so out of your box of peripheral that you don't understand it. And when you don't understand something, that makes you scared. Makes you scared. You want to hear something crazy? So I've been proposing that there's supposed to be 8 days in our week. And I broke down the math and I put it on the internet. And you can see that on the internet. And it makes pretty good sense in my opinion. Alright? A lot of people still don't want to believe it. But apparently it's smart and creative. Because I was even able to come up with it. Alright? I'm not going to tell you the year I was born. You can probably figure that out on your own from some of the other shit. But I was born in June, which is 6/25. 6/25. Okay? Now, if you take 365.25, it's actually 0.25 6363004, but that's just too complicated in my opinion. It's too many numbers. Yeah. So if you take 365.25, which is the time it takes for the Earth to fucking orbit the sun, and you divide that number by 8, do you know what you come out with? And this freaked me out. It made me go to bed. I didn't go to bed, but it made me lay down, and I stopped YouTubing it up. I stopped talking to my mom, even though she was trying to talk with me, and stuff like that. You take that number and you divide 365.25 divided by 8, you get 45.625, which is my birthday, and 45 breaks down to 9. Alright? So when y'all want to come at me like I'm some fucking nutso job, there are too many, and I hate to say coincidences, but there are too many things lining up that state more and more every day that what I am trying to tell you people about this world we live in is correct. Is correct. How is it that I just saw these numbers in my head once I've learned that there was this thing called vortex math out there? I just started seeing this shit in my head because remember when we were in school, you're not smart enough just to see numbers in your head. That's why you have to work them out. And that's why anytime you're able to just complete the equation without the teacher being able to do that without working it out, and you can do it without working it out, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a cheater. But I didn't even know what vortex-based math was. And I started seeing that shit in my head. And it lines up. And it makes sense. I've even talked to my mother about it. She is one of the most religious persons in the world. And it's even making sense to her. Unless she's just lying to me to make me feel better about myself. But don't you find it strange that if you take 365.25 and you divide that by 8, you get 45.625, which is my birthday? And I've also done some numerology with some birthdays using a vortex-based math scale. And I've now done 12, and I have a couple of more. I've got like 4 or 5 more that I can sit down. But so far, mine is the only one that is lined up in a sequential order. Everybody else's is out of alignment. It's like 513, or it's like 824, or it's like 12, which I guess is sequential, but there's no third number. Ooh, bet you didn't catch that. And that one's happened a couple of times as well. But so far, of all the birthdays that I've done, and I need to sit down and do these other ones, it's the only one that lines up 6, 7, 8. And if you look back at some of my videos and that vortex scale that I made where I implemented numerology in it, 6, 7, and 8 is also the only section of that chart that is out of pattern. And when I say out of pattern, it's not unisex female, unisex male, unisex female, and then after that last unisex, at 6, it goes female, male, unisex. Okay? So if numbers aren't supposed to lie, and numbers are like the foundation and the building blocks of everything that we do and create in this world, and because of numerology, how we act, numbers dictate how we act and who we are. Which is why people believe in like some numerology, and they believe in astrology, or, you know, the zodiac signs and stuff like that, because it lines up. But they all still want to believe that I'm not even going that far into it, alright? But I mean, think about that, people. I really want you to sit and think about it. I was born into a blue-collar world. But I work for the wrong people. And isn't that how it's always gone in this country for the most part? You're born into a blue-collar world. You work in the blue-collar world. You live in the blue-collar world. You die in the blue-collar world. Sit and ponder that shit. Sit and think about some of the stuff that I'm putting out there. Watch these videos. Think differently. Alright? And by thinking differently, I want you to know, alright? And you can fucking hate me if you want. I think for all of the men and women that showed up to that fucking rally yesterday, that did not do anything but peacefully protest, you're cowards. You should have struck while the iron was hot. You may never get the same opportunity to be as close to the Capitol during an event like that. What happens if that event happens in fucking Nebraska next time, or some bullshit like that? You're states away instead of less than fucking 2 hours. Oh, and by the way, if you take 365.2, alright, and you divide that by 7, you get 52, which is 7. But 142 is also in there, is 7. That's at the exact dead center of that number, which is 7 again. And then the very last two numbers is 43, and 43 comes out to 7. There's your fucking 777, in case you were fucking curious. Cloachy Bogmarsh out.